All right, so episode number 2. Mike, Trent, and I are ready to get going here. So I think we'll start with the Gabe Davis discussion. He recently mentioned on his Instagram. It was an Instagram reel, I think. Let me pull it
right
up.
into
Let
it.
me pull it up right now, so I can get the whole thing and the caption. So Gabe said on Instagram, he put 2 emojis, a heart emoji and a buffalo emoji. And it was basically reliving all the memories he had in Buffalo, his draft memory, all that stuff. So it basically, essentially, what it tells me is that he is moving on, and he is prepared not to come back to Buffalo. So it looks like Gabe Davis, his days are done in Buffalo, and he's going to be a free agent. So that leaves the question: where do you guys think he's going to go?
I guess I'll start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I have 3 teams and a potential contract laid out because that's kind of what we were talking about here. 3 teams I think will probably go for him. Panthers, they need people. The Giants, they seem like they love every Bills player that shows up. And the Chiefs, because he tore them up a few years ago, and they need wide receivers too. I think Juju Smith-Schuster signed for 3 years, 27 mil. I believe he'll probably go for a little more than that. He'll go 3 years, 30 mil.
Interesting. Well, I think if he signs for 3 years, 30 million, 10 million a year, I feel like he could stay, to be honest with you, somehow. But I think he's going to end up going to the Giants. I think he ends up signing like a 4-year deal somewhere in like the 14 to 18 million dollar range. I feel like it just makes too much sense. They have really no weapons. If they don't plan on keeping Saquon, you got an aging Darren Waller, a Wan'Dale Robinson. Pretty suspect.
Okay, so I have 2 teams. I'll get into the second team and why. But the first team, obviously, you guys mentioned it, the Giants. Brian Dable, there's mutual interest. There has to be. Joe Shane, all those guys, all those connections are relevant when it comes to free agency. A lot of guys want to play in systems they've had success in, coaches they're familiar with. That has a big deal in free agency, and the Giants have enough money to throw a bag at him. I think he's going to run up. PFF projects him at around 12 mil per year. I see that range for him. I see something like
12 mil.
12 mil a year.
Holy, did they watch the Buffalo Bills this year?
I think the team's going to overpay him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just them watching the Bills or not. I think it's more so what the market is. Brad Spielberger, I think, did the contract projections, and he's really accurate with this stuff. He knows his stuff, and he basically weighs what the market might pay versus where the player might be. It's like the wide receiver market's gonna be crazy. You're gonna have T. Higgins is gonna make way too much money. I can tell you that right now.
And if he gets tagged.
If he gets tagged or traded, whoever the number 1 wide receiver on the market is going to get paid an absurd amount of money, whether that's Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, whoever. I do think Pittman's going to get tagged, but that's neither here nor there. And my other team for Gabe is the Jags. I think Calvin Ridley is going to hit free agency probably. It wasn't the greatest year for him. It was up and down. There was not a lot of consistency. And you know who the Jags who's on the Jags staff? Chad Hall, who Gabe Davis loves. And Gabe Davis is played college football in Florida, and I think there's definitely going to be some mutual interest. So I think the Giants or the Jags are going to be the top 2 contenders for him, and I could see something like a 3-year, $40 million contract being given to him to play alongside Christian Kirk and kind of have the Jags do it that way. But
just to poke a couple holes in that theory,
okay.
They have to pay Josh Allen, the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
He's a free agent
Right.
as well. Looking at who their free agents are, I'll be honest, I haven't heard a whole lot of these. I guess one of the guards, but I mean,
you don't have to re-sign yet, and that helps a lot.
Yeah,
it does.
But you're already looking at they only have $17 million of cap space right now, and that's not signing defensive end Josh Allen.
But that's also before you're going to get the restructures, and you're going to get the
casualties,
and you're going to be they'll end up giving way more money than that. So I don't know how relevant that number is right now. But yeah, Josh Allen's a big part of it. But I also think, with a guy like Calvin Ridley coming off the books, there's going to be a void. And
I would be stunned if they re-signed Ridley, because if they re-sign him, they have to trade Atlanta a second-round pick,
Yeah.
and I don't see a universe where they do that for a 29-year-old receiver who is inconsistent.
Very, very inconsistent, and
But at
especially
the same time, like, why would you?
Instead, they could get a 25-year-old receiver who is
inconsistent.
inconsistent.
Yeah, my whole thing is like, I'm gonna ask you guys this: do you think Doug Peterson, in this situation, do you think he is on the hot seat coming into the year? It was an up and down year. There was high expectations for them. Do you think he's on the hot seat?
I would say no. I'll go here. I would say no because, Trevor Lawrence was getting dinged up throughout the year, and ever since that occurred, they couldn't find their footing. They had no consistency, and you know how it is. I mean, if your franchise quarterback isn't, even 80%, your team's done. You're cooked. So, I think they give him, some reassurance that they believe in him, because, to be fair, who are they going to go and get? Belichick? Like, that'd be great for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. So basically, I think someone mentioned the Chiefs. There were another team. That was another team I was going to look at. If they want to go vertical again and kind of replace MVS with Gabe Davis, that could make sense. But I feel like if the Chiefs are going to get a receiver, they're going to swing big and they're going to go for a Mike Evans or somebody like that. I don't see it being Gabe, so I would rule them out. But
I mean, I want to. Here's the thing, though, with the Chiefs is that they've proven that. I feel like they've proven to themselves that they're going to fall into the Patriots trap of thinking we don't need to go for the big hitters, and I think. I mean, it's probably going to be a pretty nice deal to go to Gabe Davis and go, hey, listen, you could go to the Giants and get all that money, or you could come here for a little less money, but you're going to play the Bills twice a year. I feel like that might be an allure to Gabe Davis.
I just can't see the Chiefs giving the bag to someone like him. They would. I feel like they just draft a guy in like a second or third round scenario, like they've been doing, or a first round.
Although the Chiefs have kind of gone. Well, here's the thing with the Chiefs is that the Chiefs have quite a few free agents that they probably would like back. Obviously, number one being Chris Jones, but a couple of sneaky ones like Drew Tranquil is a free agent for them, and he was a big time linebacker for him.
L'Jarius Sneed too.
And
L'Jarius
Sneed.
There's no way they're keeping all of those guys. It's not going to happen.
I mean, I think they're probably going to target Chris Jones
for sure.
Drew
I think
Tranquil,
they'll end
or
up tagging.
Sneed.
I think they'll end up tagging Chris Jones.
Yeah,
I just think they're gonna find a way to make it work to bring him back. He's too important for what they do for him to leave. He's just way too good. And whether it's a 2-year deal or whatever, it's something short term. I think they're gonna end up getting it done. They're the best team in the NFL. They've proven that. There's no argument for that. Chris Jones is a big part of what they do. Steve Spagnuolo just got an extension. It's essentially their defensive MVP in that system. I don't see a scenario where he leaves, but I do see a scenario where L'Jarius Sneed leaves and they already are young at that position with Trent McDuffie, and then they decide, okay, let's get another receiver and let's just keep building this thing because Kelsey's only getting older. Rashee Rice is a nice building block, but outside of Rashee Rice, who do you really have? That's
why I think they should draft a guy rather than give Gabe Davis the
for
bag.
sure.
I think the thing you got to look at with the Chiefs is that they've used their draft picks a lot of the way the Bills were trying to for a long time, which was just draft defense and just kind of hope that the offense figures itself out. And it's kind of worked for a little while. I mean, a lot of their starters that won the Super Bowl are young, fast guys, which is where the Bills are going to have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they traded away one of the best, certainly the fastest wide receiver in football, and then immediately had more success without him than they did with him.
Yeah.
So
that's where I kind of am against them signing Gabe because I don't see them taking that approach. They may add a receiver, I just don't think it's going to be Gabe. I
agree.
Moving on.
But
sorry.
for one last thing, because I want to know: do you think the Giants would make a big move for Gabe Davis, considering the familiarity?
I feel like if anyone, it would be the Giants.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's got a level of familiarity in the system for starters. He likes Brian Dable by all accounts, and the Giants have been trying to get receiver after receiver every year. Last year they got Paris Campbell, Wan'Dale Robinson. They have all these guys coming in the door, but none of them have really seen the stick at a certain spot. Like there's no clear cut number one guy. With Gabe, it's someone Dable trusts, somebody he can thrust into a situation, be like, here's our wide receiver 2, you're going to do it, and we trust you in this system. So I think that makes a ton of sense.
You know what? With that being said, I'm going to throw the darkest of dark horses out there and say, what about New
Bills
England?
themselves?
New England, I was thinking about them too. I was.
Here's the thing, though. When I was coming up with a potential contract, because I figured that would come up, never really did, but the contract I drew up based off of what I saw, the 3-year, $3 million contract I threw out, beginning of the discussion here, was based off Juju Smith-Schuster's contract, which was a 3-year, $27 million. So if you're the Patriots, do you do that? Do you draft? Do you sign two basically identical wide receivers?
I wouldn't say they're
that
identical at all.
both are I think when you're looking at floors and ceilings, when you level it all out, Juju Smith-Schuster and Gabe Davis are the same wide receiver.
You're just talking about production, right? Not
Yeah, because play-wise,
production-wise,
they're not the same. Yeah, they're not the same
and
player.
Gabe's the deep threat. But what if they go out here and they draft a QB in the top 5? It makes perfect sense. You know, and they have so much money. They're
going to go for a big dog. They're
not going to get
a rookie quarterback. If they are to get,
I don't think they're going to get Gabe either.
If they're going to get a receiver, it's going to be a very good one, not Gabe. It doesn't make sense for them because they have Demario Douglas, who I think is a very underrated weapon in that offense. They have Juju, who they hope kind of bounces back. I mean, they're paying him so much money, enough money to be like, okay, we can't really get rid of him. We kind of just got to make it work with him. And then they have a couple other guys that are okay. I just don't see a scenario where they bring in Gabe, who in my opinion, the league views him as a wide receiver too. If they're going to get a receiver, it's going to be a number one guy.
I just don't see how someone would even
another
want to
thing,
go there, though. You know what I mean? Like
another thing to
money.
Throw out here,
it's got to be just money.
Yeah, like what Mike's saying is that I wonder if more teams are going to look at the way like the Bills, the Chiefs, and a lot of these teams got their rookie quarterbacks was when they did a regime change. The first thing they didn't do was draft a quarterback. They drafted someone else. So if you're the Patriots at number 3, do you take Marvin Harrison Jr., go with a veteran quarterback in free agency for a year, maybe get a second-round guy or see where you are in a year? Or do you go for a guy like Jalen Daniels down at LSU and kind of hope and pray that you find a wide receiver in free agency?
I think you take the approach with a rookie quarterback. They have been too conservative with quarterbacks since Brady's left. Mac Jones had a very low ceiling, high floor kind of guy. Bailey Zappi the same way, high floor, low ceiling. Like they need to start swinging for the fences. They need to go out and try to hit a home run on one of these guys. Worry about receiver second. Quarterback takes priority, and that's the approach they need to take.
I'm going to be honest. I feel Jaden Daniels throughout this draft process is going to become just the darling of the combine. I feel like he has so much physical talent. I could legitimately see a world where and Drake may too, just by the straight arm talent. Like I could see a world where those two are the first 2 guys off the board somehow, or I just could see this getting wild.
Yeah, I this is why I love the draft. Sorry, Trent. There's so much fog of war right now. We don't really know what's going to happen with a lot of these guys. There's going to be late risers. There's going to be late fallers. But back to what you're saying, the talent, the combine, that is very, very relevant in terms of where these guys are going to get drafted. I do think Caleb ends up still being the first quarterback taken off the board. But Drake May, those guys, I think they're going to separate themselves from the rest of the pack if they haven't already. And they're just going to be – it might be a scenario where somebody at 3 Who has the third pick? The Patriots.
think it's
So
Pats.
somebody at 4 might
It's Arizona.
someone well, no one's even gonna leapfrog anybody because I think Chicago isn't gonna.
The only
draft
one that could
anybody other-
leapfrog is Chicago. The only one that would, like, I feel like move their pick is Chicago.
Yeah,
But
and they're asking for a lot from what I hear.
why wouldn't
like
you?
a generational haul, and I don't blame them. They have all the
I
leverage
feel like
in
they're
that scenario.
I feel like with that being said, they're compensating, knowing Fields still isn't their guy. I feel like they would just trade that pick just to get the moon.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah,
I
agree.
I just feel like there's effortlessly a scenario where the draft's first 3 picks are all quarterbacks.
Oh yeah.
It just
I
feels.
think it's going to end up being 1 Williams, 2 May to Washington, 3 Daniels to New England. I think that's just what it's going to end up being.
Just makes sense.
Yeah, they're too talented to just slide out of the top 3. I think teams will get desperate enough, and also the first 3 teams, anyways, are in need of a quarterback. So
Big time.
right,
Big time.
So what I was saying, we're gonna move on. A lot of talk about draft.
Oh man,
sorry, Trent.
damn!
We gotta move on.
I was gonna make a point about
You know
James
what?
Daniels,
I'll
but
let you go first because you really
Alright.
wanted to get this across. You have the floor.
All right. I think the biggest thing when you're going to look at quarterbacks with like a Jaden Daniels is that when you have a rookie quarterback, throwing him into the fire almost seems like one of the worst things you could do. And watching a little bit of Jaden Daniels, he takes some of the most goofiest hits you'll ever see. Like, don't let anyone ever tell you he protects himself running the ball. He does not. In fact, he does what everyone thinks Josh Allen does. There's a video of him jumping into a linebacker. I mean, I think he'll rise up for his athletic gifts, but I think teams got to be careful about the fact you're probably going to have a quarterback who needs to sit for a year to realize you can't launch yourself at Bobby Wagner.
To your point, Trent, I'm going to say this. I think the NFL, these teams are going to make a point of emphasis to him to make sure he doesn't do that. I just think Patriots, Alex Van Pelt, former quarterback, Washington, Cliff Kingsbury, he's worked with a lot of good quarterbacks. They're going to make sure these guys don't put themselves in harm's way. It's going to change at the NFL level. He might still take hits. I don't think he's going to take as many hits as he did in college just because it's a little bit more wild in college. They're a little bit more free. They protect their bodies less. In the NFL, this is a huge investment. They're going to make sure he doesn't do that. So I'm not really worried about that as much. I just think it's going to be coached out of him a little bit, and it's also going to be an investment from the franchise to make sure this guy doesn't end up getting hurt.
I agree.
Moving on. This is something small I wanted to touch on, but Cover One mentioned this on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Jamil Adai, he was hired as the Bills cornerbacks coach, and he worked, I believe, with Minnesota. He was most recently with University of Miami. He teaches a lot of man-heavy concepts, so a lot of man technique, a lot of hand-on-hand, get in your face, press, stuff like that, which is not what the Bills do. So to me, and what Cover One said, it indicates maybe a little bit of more man coverage, a little bit of transition. We're going to switch it up a little bit of philosophical changes for the defense. And my question to you guys is, what do you think of that? Do you welcome that? Do you like something like that?
If we were to run more man coverage, that would just be money for Kaiir Elam.
Yeah.
He is the epitome of a press coverage man corner, and I feel like he has just been. I feel like if you put him in that scenario, the sky's the limit with him. There's so much untapped potential that I feel like we just have not given the proper development. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Trent?
I almost wouldn't read too much into this being a philosophical difference. I view this more as a different voice in the room type of thing, or different, because I think McDermott's defenses, for the most part, have all been zone, and they do run a great job at zone defense. But you also have to look at it. I mean, they were sick and tired of Levi Wallace, and they picked up Kyrie Elam. And just by chance, they fell into Christian Bedford, who has been a phenomenal corner for them. I think really this view is just more so Miami's had some great corners and safeties come through there. Like Cameron Kitchens is a guy that I'm sure we'll cover in a draft video,
Mhm.
but he is a guy from Miami that has been turned into a really good prospect. And it takes a lot for nowadays Miami University to have great defensive back
Yeah.
prospects. So I think that's more so getting a voice in the room that's a little different. But, they interviewed him. So clearly it's not like, Terry Pagula hired the guy and Sean McDermott didn't know. Sean McDermott knew who he was
Mhm.
hiring. They also let John Butler go, who had been the corners and
Yeah, he
safeties
was
coach.
the passing game coordinator last year for the defense.
Yeah, so I mean, but I think the biggest thing is that I think what this is just more so Sean McDermott just having a different idea
Opinion.
in the room, just
Mhm.
something, yeah, just because I don't think this is a big change in the defense. I think it's more so something that, hey, I didn't think about this
Mhm.
This
before.
could mean
Maybe we
something
could do
about the
this in that
safeties
scenario.
too. Moving
Yeah.
on from Poyer and Hyde. um,
I, I think Hyde's definitely. I think they've based off of we were talking about Instagram posts here. Micah Hyde's wife making the post after the playoff game saying that thank you to Buffalo and
Mhm.
everything, and it sounds a whole lot. Plus, Micah Hyde's mentioned when you start mentioning retirement, you are retiring. Nobody mentions retirement and goes, I'm going to play 2
Trent,
more
have
years.
you ever met Aaron Rodgers? He talks about it like every day.
yeah,
Well, most people aren't
That's
cracking,
true.
going on a
so
psychedelic trip and retiring. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, most people are narcissists. Well, to be fair, look where Aaron Rodgers learned it
Yeah.
from.
yeah.
So,
Brett Favre.
but yeah, but I mean, you look at guys like Poyer and Hyde, and guys like that. When you play defensive back, you have to be on the utmost confident edge. And once you start thinking, I don't have it, that's when you start saying, or when you start thinking, man, if I take this one hit wrong again, it's going to permanently ruin my neck.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
That's
just
when
think
you're
the neck
not thinking about
issues
playing.
have really, really worn.
Ooh. You guys there?
Oh, we lost you there, Mike.
Oh,
Yeah, we
yeah,
lost
Oh,
you,
we're good.
Mike.
I
We're good.
just feel like the neck issues have really worn on him.
Mhm.
With
Yeah.
partially dealing with it this year and then missing a lot of the season last year. I just think that if he's going to, I mean, it makes sense. But I don't know. I feel like hiring this new coordinator who's more press man background would really help bring a new element to the system.
Yeah, and I back to your point about Elam, like he is that kind of corner where he's gonna take risks and he is going to gamble a little bit. And he thrives in a man system, which
He's
was
shown
very,
flashes.
very confusing when the Bills made the pick because nobody really thought it was going to be Elam to be the guy,
Mm-mm.
because he's just not who the Bills look for.
Not a
Um,
system
To be
fit.
fair, I think the Bills were looking for the guy who's now an
yeah,
All-Pro for the Kansas City
yeah.
Chiefs, Trent
I
McDuffie.
wish
Yeah,
man, if we got
yeah,
Trent
that'll
McDuffie,
do it.
oof, man, okay.
I think
I am so
we
jealous of that team.
they did to us what we
So
did.
jealous.
They did to us what we did to the Cowboys this year with Kincaid.
Yeah, and yeah, that's my point though. Like, I think it could be very helpful for Elam. They haven't given up on him yet. He played meaningful snaps in the playoffs. Granted, there was injuries, but he made plays. Like he has 2 interceptions in 3 playoff games now. I think 4. So that's a big deal. Like if you're making big plays like that, and if you can kind of tame it a little bit and reduce a little bit of the volatility he gives you, and if you put him in more of a comfort zone like a man scheme, it could pay high dividends for you. So I'm very curious to see how much that move's gonna change him. But it's nice to talk about anyways. So um, next up,
On to the
um,
topic of the day.
no, we got one more before that.
Oh, okay.
One more.
Oh,
So cast face. It's talked about a lot, but on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. We're
the cap
currently
isn't real.
bottom 5 in cap space. I think it's a little bit of both. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But they currently stand at negative 51 million, I believe, in cap space.
And yeah, that's not real. They will chew that
And
down.
the cap itself is expected to rise about 5 million. So that's 5 million less we have to worry about. What do you guys think they do? Do you think, they're going to obviously shave a lot of that off?
Mhm.
How many guys do you end up think they're going to bring in? I know Bean mentioned, they're not going to be, shopping for the big names. They're going to be going for like bargain bin guys. But how many players do you think they end up actually bringing in, like with the cap space where it's at?
We talking brand new players, or
We're
we
talking
talking players?
We're talking brand new
Okay,
players.
I don't
brand
know.
new players.
I don't know if it's about who they're going to bring in though, rather than who can they restructure in order to do anything.
Yeah.
Are you going to restructure Tre'Davious White, or is he going to be a cap casualty?
Right.
Are you going to ask Allen, Diggs, Knox, all to restructure? Deion Dawkins, Von Miller. If they all restructure and really shift this around, we could be talking a totally different ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
I think for sure Josh and Diggs are restructuring because as much as literally everyone else but the Buffalo Bills, Stephon Diggs, and Josh Allen think, Stephon Diggs is a very much important part of this team and is probably going to be here until he can't play wide receiver anymore. Josh Allen's going to be here until his arm literally turns into a wet noodle. Those two guys are going to be here forever. I think they're not going to touch Von's contracts. I think very much they're going to this next year is going to be, if Von can't figure this out, that's it for Von. And I think being smart enough to know you don't touch something you want to get rid of.
Well, even if you want to get rid of them, you still can restructure the money.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you restructure that money, the bill's got to come at some point. And I think they want to. I feel this is just me. This is just my opinion. I don't have a source. I'm talking out of my butt here. I think they'll probably try to look at either this year or next year, either getting Vaughn to just retire or restructure his deals so that he stays off money. And
it's too much money. 60 million.
But here's the thing though, Mike, is that you don't got it anymore. And besides, after next year, next year is the first year where they can just cut him and have very little penalty.
Sure.
Because really, it's a 3-3 deal.
Right. You're right.
That's how they signed it.
100%.
So I don't think if Von Miller's not being Von Miller next year, like if he showed up this year and was just tearing it up, 15 sacks, just looking like a monster, yeah, you absolutely restructure him.
Wouldn't he make perfect sense to restructure anyways?
No, because what you do, Mike, is when you restructure, you eventually have to pay that money. That's how the Saints got themselves in all that troubles. You can't just make that money disappear. It reappears somewhere. And I think with Von's contract, if you leave it alone, you have an opportunity to get rid of him because there was a point in the season Gabe Davis, DeMar Hamlin had more tackles than Von Miller, and Von Miller is not being paid.
More tackles than Von Miller.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs had more tackles than Von Miller. I mean, Stephon Diggs has openly said he could play corner, he just don't like tackling. So
yeah,
there you go. But I mean, Mike, you wouldn't be wrong. It would be the logical thing to do if he didn't look worse than Kingsley Jonathan for 95% of the season. Now, the playoffs, he looked a little more like Von Miller, whether that's just he finally was trusting his ACL again, whether that's he finally could walk like a normal person again.
I just think he's cooked. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I get it. He's Von Miller. He's got the pedigree. I mean, he could make me look and sound really stupid in a matter of one game. But, the whole season, he was just Casper.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't even notice he was out there. It's literally like watching Victor Olofsson. They're one and the same.
Ooh,
that's a good one. That's a strong comp. I don't think Victor Olofsson makes as near as much money, but yeah,
he also scores goals. He does his job.
I want to reiterate, like
he does his employment.
Von Miller, he had flashes, but I think Mike's right. I think he's done. It's his second major knee injury. A big part of, like, a lot of people don't realize, like, a big part of Von's game is his bend, his natural bend, his physical skills. And when you have to bend, your knee is extremely important for that, and he doesn't have that. That's his thing. It's his bend. That's what makes him Von Miller. And he doesn't have it anymore. And to me, like, I still think you trot him out there, you put him on a pitch count, and hope that every other
You have
play
no
or
choice.
so. Yeah, you don't, and but you're hoping every other player or so he can get in there, cause a little havoc, pressure a little bit, do something. But I think you kind of have to cut your losses after next season if he's really the same player, which I think he's going to end up being. But back to the cap space situation, though, I think another factor that plays into it is extensions. There's 3 players I mentioned on my Instagram that are all eligible for extensions that will save us cap space. Roughly $20 million between these 3 players if we extend them. Dion Dawkins, Rasul Douglas, and who was the other one? I'm blanking here. Teron Johnson.
I was about to say, you posted it.
Yeah, those 3 guys, if you extend them, you save about $20 million. And I
2
think
of them are must keeps.
All 3 of them, I think, are worthy of extensions.
Yeah, I would say throw another year onto Rasul's contract. Teron Johnson,
you need him.
See what he wants, and throw a couple years on there. Same with the Snowman. I mean, we made it. You even made a video. People kept commenting on it. Shout out to the people who commented on it that I've never met. You guys are great. I'm going to find more things to piss y'all off about. But like Dion Dawkins, I mean, has been a stalwart of the team. Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's going to be here for a while. It's the same thing with Teron Johnson. I think really what you're looking down to at the end of the day, brass tacks. Let's get down to business here. I think you've got to ask yourself, can Tre'Davious White play football anymore? And it's a hard question to ask because Tre'Davious White, great guy. I own the Trey White goalie sweatshirt. Wonderful guy. It took him a year to recover from the ACL, and the Achilles is a different injury. It's an injury that sticks with you. And I know he's been working on Leslie Frazier, and the question's going to have to be at the end of the day, can he be Tre'Davious White?
I think,
is he capable of being all pro again?
I think there's a lot of things on the table for Trey. I think you can restructure him, save some cap space, hope he rehabs, gets back to where he was or anywhere near that, which I don't think is possible. Or you could outright cut him. Or 3, you could basically say, we're not going to do anything with this contract. We're going to just wait and see and let him rehab. And then next year, we'll see where he's at. And if he's good enough, we're going to keep him around. If he's not, you give him the boot then.
You got Rasul on the books for next year. Tre'Davious, been an all-pro level player, great cornerback for this team. It's been an absolute stallion. Well, might be time to take that stallion out behind the barn. Because that contract is too much money, and you can save so much money cutting him. I mean, he's been a cornerstone guy of this team for multiple years now, but
you could say he's like the glue of the secondary.
What do you guys think about this? What do you think if this is proposed here? Say if the Bills go to Tre'Davious White and his agent be like, okay, we want to keep you around, but we know that you're not the player you used to be. So here's this. We'll keep you around on a pay cut. But if you play good enough to get where you're, if you prove to us that you're healthy, then it's like an incentive.
Lace up with incentives.
What do you think about that?
He's going to tell him to go fuck himself.
You really think so?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
Why would you walk away from, 15 or $17 million to go to, you're coming off back-to-back, for some people, career-ending possible injuries, and the team's coming to you saying, take a pay cut and make it incentive-driven. Yeah, no.
On the other hand, though, Mike, on the other hand, though, Mike, you also got to look at, NFL's a very capitalistic, unless your name's Lamar Jackson, a very capitalistic free agency, and it's a very much show me what you got.
Mhm.
Jordan Poyer, for years, even had a great season for Buffalo, had a couple of elbow injuries, but he had like 8 interceptions. You know what the NFL free agency told him? You're not worthwhile. Get out of here.
Yeah.
We don't want to pay you. And he came crawling back to Buffalo. I easily think trade Davius White. And they went to him and said, hey, listen, here's what you're worth to everyone else. Not much. You're a broken corner who can't stay healthy. To us, you're worth a lot, but we need to make room to pay other people. If you make it an incentive laced contract, I'm sure again, the salary cap isn't real.
I just don't think
I'm
they're
sure
gonna
Brandon Beane's already
totally
worked something out.
like have like a whole new contract set up. At that point, they're just gonna walk away.
Mhm.
Which I think probably, Mike, what's going to come down to is they're probably going to do something like what Ben and I are suggesting, is that you have a lesser contract with more incentive base.
That just never happens.
Well, here's the other thing, Mike, is that Tre'Davious White's going to have to consider, does he want to play football anymore?
Mhm.
Of course it is.
Because there's a good chance he goes to free agency and nobody pays him.
True.
That he gets no money because, like you said, he's coming off an ACL injury where he didn't look great, and then as soon as he finally starting to get back to form, tears his Achilles. So really, you got to question: hey, can he even last a full season?
Yeah.
Let alone are we getting 2021 Trey White?
Yeah.
So I think
It's a
he's as good
tricky
as done.
situation. I don't think there's one right answer for it. I think there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of things on the table when it comes to Tre'Davious. You can cut him, you can approach him with a pay cut, you can restructure him. There's a lot of things you can do with it. But that brings us to the impending free agents. I'm gonna go through players one by one. You guys are just gonna give me your prediction, why you think they're gonna go there, why do you think they're gonna stay. I did. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. We're doing six guys. I think these are the 6 most important free agents, in my opinion. We already went over Gabe Davis, so actually we'll cross one off the list. I'll start with, in my opinion, the most important free agent to the Bills, Daquan Jones. Do you guys think he's going to stay around?
I hope so. I mean, he
I
just
pray to the heavens he does.
he's a dog.
Yeah, he is.
He's a
He's
dog.
really important for what they do. He's a huge chess piece up front, and we saw how much Ed Oliver benefited from it. He really, it's important. It's a really important piece, and I don't think Daquan Jones is going to make that much.
Shouldn't.
He's aging. He's in his 30s. He's coming off a major pec injury. I don't think teams are going to line up for him and be like, "Oh, I'm going to hand you a lot of money." I think he's going to get about 7.5 a year, which is what PFF Brad Spielberg projected him at. I think 2 years, $15 million. I'd be more interested in a 1-year deal because I think you run the risk of a lot of regression with a player of his age. But I'd be all for 1-year deal, $7 million, a little bit of maybe some incentives in there with sacks and all that. But I think the team's really going to make it work. I think they're going to make sure he comes back. He's too important for what they do. I don't know if you guys agree, but if you want to
I
chime
don't
in.
see a 1-year deal, to be honest with you. I mean, if we could get him for a 1-year deal, that would be fantastic. But with a player at his current position in his career, he's gonna want the term. You know what I mean? He's gonna want that 2-year deal. Even if it's the difference of only a couple million, it's that stability.
Yeah, Troy, what do you think?
He's coming back for a 1-year deal, and I don't think he's going to get anything more on the open market than a 1-year deal, to be personally honest with you. Also, might be a little bit more, because he's going to be 33.
Yeah.
Defensive tackles don't have that much juice left in the tank. He's kind of had his big payday before.
Yeah.
Like, he came to the he came to the Bills for the big payday, and I wonder if they give him a kind of a like what they paid him in 2022. Kind of a hey, but see what give us a little more juice type of contract.
I completely agree with you. I think in the back,
like a one more crack at it type of thing.
I think you always for the front office, myself, the fans, there's that in the back of your head. You worry a little bit. Is there going to be some regression with that age? So that's why I don't think you're getting anything longer than 1 or 2 years. It's not going to be a long term. Obviously, not going to be a long term deal. I don't expect it to be a super expensive deal. So I expect him to come back.
Because here's part of the thing, too, when we can talk about free agents. We're not the Buffalo Bills of 2019, 2020 that, young, don't know what you're signing into.
Yeah.
Hey,
Or
Josh,
even the Bills of the drought era,
Yeah.
where you walk in and you're like, damn, the YMCA has better facilities than this. You're walking into a Bills team with one of the best facilities in football, a team with Josh Allen that can go toe-to-toe with any team in the NFL, and you could easily make an argument that you're the piece that we need to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hell of a compelling argument to a lot of players
I
that,
certainly.
hey, you come here, you got shots to win Super Bowl. You can't say that about every team in football. In fact, you really could only say it about, I would say, maybe 3 teams in football.
I think you can certainly say that there is going to be contender discount for the Bills, and until they're done with Josh, there's always going to be that, and that is so helpful in today when money's king, and there's going to be some bad teams with a lot of money throwing a lot of money at these guys. It's huge to have that in your back pocket. Another player I want to touch base on, who I think had a very, very underrated season with the Bills, who I actually don't think he's going to be back, is Tyrell Dodson. I think he had a very solid year.
Bill's best linebacker, Tyrell Dodson.
Oh, here we go. I got him worked up. But I think he was actually PFF's number 1 graded linebacker. PFF grades. I'm not going to unlock that can.
Sorry to butt into the conversation here, but as you know, I think Ben's followers are mostly younger, so they're probably active on social media. At NFL Draft Bites, Chad Forbes
no! Oh no! I know where you're going. Oh god.
When talking about the Bills' free agents, that the Bills' better linebacker leaves via free agency.
And
the backup run-stuffing linebacker, Tyrell Dodson, PFF's number 3 linebacker in football. So if you need to know if PFF grades are any good or not, Tyrell Dodson apparently is a better linebacker than Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard.
Not Dorian Williams.
Not Dorian Williams, though. No.
No, he's better than Dorian Williams because he was so good he kept him off the field.
Going back to Tyrell Dodson, though, I think he is a very savvy linebacker. He's developed into a really solid run defender. And he's a technician. He plays hard. He plays physical. So I don't think he's going to stay because I just think a role here for him is not going to be appealing enough for him to come back unless there's absolutely no market for him, which I just don't see being the case. I just don't see him being the case.
Well, here's the thing, is that some teams are pretty stupid, Mike.
They are.
We've learned that.
They are, yeah.
When you can go, when agents, because agents, do this, because here's the thing, we watched the playoffs, and the AFC and NFC have gone back to being 2 completely different styles of football. It's no longer just one team plays in one conference, one team plays in the other, they play the exact same football. No. Both conferences play very different football. The NFC is a lot of run-based teams, a lot of heavy, smash mouth. Are you telling me that a team that plays in the NFC like even the team like the Raiders,
I was literally going to say, this motherfucker is going to be a Raider because why wouldn't he be?
Smash mouth, like we don't really give an iota of a fuck about the past. He's going to play. He's either going to play for a team like
Vegas.
Yeah, like Vegas. I was going to say Minnesota. I don't know what their linebacker situation looks like over there.
I don't know.
The Jordan Hicks is
or even
market,
or here's an underrated team, Dallas. They really wanted a big physical linebacker because they got tired of the Bills'
career being thrown question.
That was who I put down for my.
Well, they got rid of Leighton. They actually got rid of Leighton. They cut him.
Did they?
He's not even. Yeah, he's not even on the Cowboys anymore. So
Jeez. Well, I mean, that tells
that was
you.
part of their problem. They got rid of him.
I think
So,
I predicted Dallas just because when you
oh wait, he's
watch
still on him.
Dallas,
Okay.
Yeah,
they're
he's
in
still on the
dire
Cowboys.
need. They're in
Yeah,
dire
I
need
thought
of
they
a
cut him.
linebacker to plug holes and plug gaps and stop the run. The Packers ran all over them in the playoffs. They just did whatever they wanted to. And anytime they go up against
And the
these
Bills.
run-heavy teams, they have no answer for it. They have no linebackers to come in and stop the run. It was embarrassing. The Niners blew them out. The Bills blew them out. The Packers blew them out. All teams who are
I was about to
capable of
say
running the ball, and
the
they need a
the
guy like that.
the smash mouth, downhill running team of the Buffalo Bills that James Cook put up like 200 yards running on them when everyone knew they were going to run. I mean, like we talked 2 weeks ago, the Bills have 7 run plays. They use every one of those run plays to just get 9 yards apiece on the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
bad. It was really bad.
he is either going to be a Cowboy or a Raider.
Yeah.
Like
I'm glad
I
we're all on
mean,
the same
listen,
page.
Dotson's a nice
yeah.
player, but
Here's the
he
thing,
He's
couldn't
though.
not.
guard
No,
Cole
He's a
Beasley
backup.
right now.
he's
No,
he's
You
a
know,
he's a
he's a
fine
backup.
placeholder. That's what he
yeah,
is. He's
Yeah.
he's like a
cool.
Jordan Hicks. He's like a Jordan Hicks. Good tackler, good run stopper.
Ooh, there's a cop.
He's not anything crazy good. He's all right. You could do a lot worse. You could do a lot better, and that's why
Yeah, he's a backup. He was a backup for
the
So
next
Reed.
dare I
player.
say, I
Oh,
don't really care if he comes back.
yeah. The whole thing is we have Bernardo Milano. I just don't see him coming back in our system.
And Dorian
There's no
Williams, the
role
greatest
for him.
player in
We already
And
sports.
Tori
drafted.
Williams,
We already drafted
baby.
Dorian, so he'd be the fourth guy probably on the depth chart. It's just
Yeah, I
not
mean
right for him.
McDermott doesn't play rookies, so
Yeah.
that was really
Mhm.
Dotson's moment to shine.
Yeah.
So
The next player I wanted to talk about was Leonard Floyd, who I don't think is going to come back. I think that high.
Leonard Floyd said that he was going for the
Oh yeah,
money.
and I
So
think
I think this could be a very brief conversation. The Bills
100%.
don't have money. He wants money. He's going to get money. Not in Buffalo.
I think there's teams that are going to be, because it happens a lot more than you think. Teams will be like, "Oh, he's got a lot of sacks. We're going to pay him a lot of money," and then they ended up not doing well. I think Leonard Floyd could be one of those guys where he could get paid a lot and he just disappears.
I think
maybe.
Leonard Floyd could get paid a lot and do the same exact thing he
I
did in
think
Buffalo
I
this year.
probably
I
agree.
think he's going to go.
Like he's done this for 5 other teams.
Yeah,
Like everywhere he's
Chicago,
gone, he's done
LA,
the same
Buffalo.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember wanting him on the Bills, and when he was on the Bills, he wasn't bad.
He wasn't bad
He's
at all.
just
Super.
he's not going to be worth the
He's got
money
long
that they're going to pay
arms.
him.
He's one of like a
He's
big edge.
he's an eel.
Yeah, he's a big edge.
Like the best way to compare him, he's not really a big edge. If anything, he's like an eel. He's very like if you ever seen one of those eels swim around water,
yeah,
that is Leonard Floyd
That is the
around a
craziest shit
defensive
I ever heard in my
yeah.
fucking
offensive
life.
tackle.
That's a wild comp.
He like the way we talk about Von Miller, Leonard Floyd when he tore Aaron Rodgers' Achilles put Mekhi Becton into a straitjacket
Yeah,
with how
I
he
do
just
remember that.
slithered around him. He slithered around him.
He's
He
that
didn't
kind of guy.
duck it. He slithered. He is an eel with
That's
how he
actually
can just
a really good comparison. It's
Congratulations,
interesting,
Leonard
but
Floyd. You're going to be a Baltimore
you're
Raven.
now an eel. Okay, so I had him going to Carolina.
Congratulations, you are playing for the San Antonio Eels.
I had him going to Carolina. I think Carolina's gonna tag and trade Brian Burns. It's another team that's gonna be in dire need of an edge rusher, and I think Burns is gonna be out of the door. Carolina's gonna have a lot of money, and they'll be like, you know what? Do you want to come play here for a couple of years and
They were in the running
be our
last
number
year.
one guy? Were they actually? I did not
They
know
were.
that.
Yes. The Chargers,
And he
Panthers,
decided-
Ravens, and the Bills
Really?
were very
I had
strong
no
fits.
idea. So
Yeah, they said that he would be a very good fit and a veteran presence across from Brian Burns, and that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, if he wants to get paid and win, I could see him going to Baltimore.
I don't think winning matters as much to him as the money. He's literally outright said he's going to go where the money goes.
He wants money. Yeah, he's won his
Carolina,
ring. He's won his accomplishment. He just wants the bag.
He played with Ejiro Evero, who was their defensive coordinator. Granted, Ejiro Evero was their secondary coach. He didn't really work with them, but he knows Leonard Floyd. He knows he can work in the system. And I just think there's going to be that element to it, and Carolina's going to have the money, and they're going to be like, we might not have Brian Burns next year, so come and be our number one edge
Actually,
rusher.
Carolina only has $30 million in the bank.
That-
Washington has
That is a
that-
lot of money.
Washington has $83 million and
They're
has
not
0
paying Leonard
defensive
Floyd.
ends.
I don't think Washington's going to get Leonard Floyd.
Are you telling me Dan Campbell isn't going to be Dan Campbell? Dan Quinn?
Dan Quinn's going to go for
Isn't gonna be-
he's going to go for
literally
Dallas,
gave
guys.
Montez Sweat and Chase Young away for a bag of chips and a drink.
If Dallas
Yeah,
pays
well,
an
that
edge
was
rusher,
the old
it's going to
regime.
be Dorrance Armstrong, who's played for Dallas. He's a lot of those connections matter, and I think Leonard Floyd, he just seems like a natural fit with Carolina.
Well, Tennessee has $72 million
That's another team,
as a,
but they also have.
and
They also
Maybe
have,
if they still had
they
Vrabel.
have
don't they have Harold Landry still? Isn't he still something there?
they have Harold Landry. I mean,
Denico Autry, I think he's in the market though. So
The Titans are just like the Bermuda Triangle of the NFL. You go
Yeah,
there, and if you're not
you're
Derrick Henry,
gonna
no one
die.
remembers you exist.
yeah,
hell, Derrick Henry. Listen, I think Mike Vrabel got fired because he kept playing Derrick Henry over Tajay Spears, who. Listen, we said it 2 weeks. I said 2 weeks ago. I watched way too much Tennessee Titans football last year. In fact, I need to go to a doctor. I need to shower off from
It's
watching that
bad.
much Tennessee Titans football.
It was hard to watch.
Their offensive line was garbage. They had the
Vrabel got
last place ranked offensive line in football.
It was bad.
Vrabel got fired because watching the Tennessee Titans, you watch them and you're just like, what in the fuck are you guys doing?
It's unfair to me though. Vrabel has done a lot for that franchise, and he turned them
Also,
around.
it sounds like he was budding with GMs.
Yeah,
and was budding with the new GM. And then I think they said, okay, listen, we've had 2 GMs, man, and you just authored a 6-10 season. You don't really got a lot of leeway here.
Tennessee's a sneaky team this year that could surprise a lot of people.
Sneaky.
They could surprise a lot of people. They hired
Is there
Bill
a team
Callahan, who's the best offensive
is there
line
a team
guru.
that we ever could just like are we just going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers are just destined to be 9-8 again? Can we just
I think they're gonna.
let's
I think they're gonna flop this year again.
No, they're going to be 9-8 because
No.
it's Mike Tomlin. They're going to suck this year, and they finished 9-8.
They were 9-8 this year, and they were in a division without Joe Burrow. Once Burrow comes back, the Ravens are a lot better than they were before. You got the Browns, who I think they're going to be better than the Steelers.
Still going to finish 9-8.
I don't see it.
The Titans are going to suck. They get who's going to fucking play for them? Who's going to play for them?
The Titans, whoever they
Tennessee
pay,
Titans.
they have a
Yeah.
ton of money. Trent, they have good players. It's just a matter
The
of
Tennessee Titans are a
piecing it
team
together.
that's destined to be 8-9 and they are destined to be the team
Is that not sneaky,
is the
though?
reason up bet.
Is
I don't
that
think
not a
they're gonna be
sneaky team?
8-9.
I would call a sneaky team like the Houston Texans this last year, a team that like you're like
Okay.
I don't know, but you know like if it's like sneaky teams are teams with low ceilings, high floors, or
The opposite.
that flipped around, high ceiling, low floors.
Yeah.
The Tennessee Titans are a team with a high ceiling and a
Where do they have a high
very
ceiling?
high floor, low ceiling. I will remember it one day, Mike. Don't give me a break.
All right.
Get off my back.
Tennessee.
Anyway, who's next?
AJ Epinesa.
Keep him, please.
I think they're gonna do everything they can to keep him. He's a homegrown
Actually,
talent. They're gonna make sure he comes
they like
back. He's a bean draft pick. They like to keep their guys around.
Mhm.
They're already losing Leonard Floyd. Him, Russo, Von Miller, and I think Kingsley Jonathan is going to be your 4 guys at edge this year.
Shout out to Kingsley Jonathan,
I love Kingsley
man.
Jonathan, man. He is.
Oh, don't forget about Shaq Lawson.
He's a free
Sign the
agent.
contract, Shaq.
Sign him.
Wait, he's a free agent?
I
Oh,
don't
they're going to
think
resign him on the
no one
cheap,
else is
man.
gonna pick him up. But
Yeah, exactly.
We'll
He's going to
see.
come on back. I think what the Bills are going to do is they're going to let I feel like they're going to let Epinesa test free agency just to see, what people are willing to pay for him. And then it's like the same thing they did with Poyer, just let them see what the market is, and then come on back to him.
Young, good pass rusher. He is not in the same circumstance as a 30-year-old safety.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
chime in.
I would argue is that he hasn't played all that much.
And he was a bucket.
Teams are gonna be like, okay, let's watch the film on a guy like AJ Epinesa. We're not going to look at the box score. We're going to dig deep, and we're going to evaluate this player for who he truly is. And in the snaps that he did play, Trent, he was a big,
you don't have to.
big. And I know you understand. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
keep going here. He was a huge piece of our defense. He was a really, really good piece to have off the edge. And I think they're going to make sure he doesn't hit the market, because if he does hit the market, there's going to be teams that are rebuilding, like a Washington, like these bad teams that are picking high in the draft. It'd be like prime example is Chicago, who I think he would sign with if he hits the market because of Eric Washington and his familiarity and their money. They're not gonna let him hit the market, because if they know he hits the market, they're gonna be outbid no matter what. That's the whole issue they run into. Like a Daquan Jones, they can probably match somebody's offer. Like a Tyrell Dotson, if they wanted to keep him, they could match somebody's offer. AJ Epinesa, you will get outbid for him, and I don't think they want to run that risk. They're not going to tag him, but they're going to do everything they can to keep him in the building.
I agree. Whether they succeed or not, though, is yet to be seen.
And I really hope they keep him, man, because I do not want to go into another offseason where they have to, let's draft another edge in the first round. I don't want to do that right now. I don't want to have that. I don't want to have that conversation. It makes me want to throw up. Yeah. The last guy, who a lot of Bills fans, let's just say they don't like him, and there's some Bills fans that don't mind him. It's Dane.
I didn't know Taylor Rapp was this controversial.
Dane Jackson. We can't get into Taylor Rapp. I completely forgot about Taylor Rapp. I
thought we were going towards Dane Jackson here. I was making a joke.
No, Dane Jackson. I think he's gonna go. I think he's gonna walk. They have Douglas Johnson.
I didn't even know. He was a free agent.
If they keep White, there's really no room for him. He basically was the backup boundary guy this year, and he only played because of injuries. And when he did play, he's an okay depth player. I think that's really what he is. He's probably not going to make more than $2 million. He's going to be a role player, just in case of emergency. He's going to be
that guy you see on Sunday Night Football that Chris Collins works.
God!
Remember him on the Bills last year? As he makes a tackle, and then you never hear from him ever again.
No. Yeah.
Like Levi Wallace?
Yeah. I could see that happening.
I'll be surprised. I'm surprised. Here's your fun fact of the day. Tyler Makovevich, or however the hell. Yeah, that guy. He has made more money in the last season than Dane Jackson did. I mean,
the Bills love their core special teamers. They love them.
It's amazing. It's amazing we have all these special teamers, and our special teams suck.
Yep.
Yeah.
You would think that something would change there, but that's.
Going back to Trent,
do you want to do some quick fires after? Because
I want to do Taylor Rapp, and then we can do some quick fires. Taylor Rapp,
because
this is how I see this playing out. Taylor Rapp is going to he's going to hit the market. They're going to let him go hit the market, see if there's anything there for him. And if, let's say, they want to go target a Jeremy Chin, someone like him, and that doesn't work out, he's going to be their backup plan. He's going to be like, okay.
Yeah, I agree there.
I
think they could afford Jeremy Chin.
Jeremy Chin's not going to be expensive. He barely played this year.
Yeah.
He's just not.
He's going to be. I feel like he's a guy that
he worked with our staff.
Remember, when we got Hyde and Poyer, these weren't exactly guys that everyone was like, "Oh, these guys are so good." Like I watched some Packers games. Like, man, that Micah Hyde's pretty good, but
he's not somebody that wasn't like lining up the.
And Jordan Poyer, right? And Jordan Poyer was literally a guy that the 0-16 Cleveland Browns said, "This guy sucks." I mean,
he really did not play that much last year.
No.
Wow.
I think Jeremy Chin might be a guy.
He's not a scheme.
In a dream world, Antoine Winfield Jr. is visited by his dad, tell him to finish the story, and he's going to go to the Buffalo Bills.
Oh gosh,
that is the dream.
So let me just print the money real quick for that.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
wish,
mean,
dude. Antoine Winfield is a beast, dude. I would do
it's
unspeakable things to get him on our roster.
Yeah, Antonio Brown really was a great fit for the Bills too.
Yeah, that's
no, this guy's cracking jokes over here. Comedy hour to end the podcast here with his fucking chuckle hut Antonio
So
Brown
on today's
joke.
episode of CTESPN,
oh
I will take
gosh.
the 6'3", 220-pound, 25-year-old safety over Taylor Rapp. Yes,
Yes.
give me Jeremy Chin.
All right. We'll do some quick hitters. Just let me know if you think he's gonna stay or go, and I'll kind of go down the list here. First guy, Jordan Phillips.
God, I don't know. Is he going to celebrate and not pull his hamstring for the 8th time?
I hope not. I really.
I don't. I'm going to go with
Um,
stay because where else is he going to go?
I'm gonna go sneaky retirement here
Yeah,
because
that's a
that
good.
was
That's a good one.
word on the street was he was. Yeah, I think he's looking at the fact that he can't
Move.
run anymore. So yeah,
I mean, he's a
I think
Popeyes
retirement
biscuit
might
away
be.
from retirement.
Yeah.
Hey, he's a little more
I
than Popeye's biscuit away from retirement,
at
pal.
this point in his career, he's a rotational DT. They can find a lot of those guys elsewhere, whether it's in day 3 of the draft or in the scraps of free agency. I think you can get younger there, and I think that's what they'll do. So I think he's not coming back.
Fair.
Next one, Trent Sherfield. I think we all can collectively agree that he's not coming back.
Yeah, he's hot dog water.
He's not coming back.
He's a disgrace to the name Trent.
My
Yeah,
gosh.
he is. Yeah.
Shout out to Trent Edwards.
This is an interesting one. David Edwards. I think they're gonna keep him around.
They should.
He's a guy I would love for them to keep around that I don't think is sticking around.
It's
They
wild
used
when
him.
it's out.
They used him a lot on those that 7th offensive lineman and stuff.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is
There's value in that.
I feel like there's going to be a team that saw that
Could
and
be.
said he could start for
Yeah.
us. There's a lot of bad
Yeah,
offensive lines
We
out
had some
there.
nice
And I
O
feel
line
like
depth this year.
but I really don't think
and we used
Edwards
none
is
of it.
gonna get a ton of money. He's gonna be on the low
No,
end
no.
of. But I think he'll be a player if the opportunity's there in free agency and there's a starting
A
job
team might take a
available.
flyer, yeah.
Yeah, but if
I
there's
think
not,
he's going to be
if he doesn't
he's going
get
to be a
that
guy
opportunity, I
where
think he's coming back.
Agreed.
he's going to be a guy where we're going to have to see what the reshuffling of contracts looks like before you can give a yes or no answer.
How about this
Sorry.
one? A fan favorite. A lot of people like this guy, Ty Johnson.
He's coming
I
back.
think he's
No.
coming
He's going to be on the
No.
he's going to be on the cheap. Just bring him in for you'll just be a cheap when
You don't need
it's a
him.
running back, dude.
You
I.
don't
It's a
need him.
It's
running
not.
back.
Yeah, Mike.
Exactly, it's a running back.
It's fine if they don't need
He's-
him. I think he's going to be a camp body. I think they'll end up
They
bringing him to
literally
camp.
could sign him.
Sure.
They literally could sign him for
He's got some
$1 million
wheels.
again.
He stepped up.
Like they could literally just say, "Hey, here's the same contract you signed last
I
year.
wonder
Sign
what
it again."
35-year-old we're going to bring into free agency this time. We're going to sign Le'Veon Bell? I mean,
Oh
God,
gosh, he is
Latavius
trying to make a
Murray,
return.
Frank Gore, I know.
I think we're approaching the day and age of we don't need the vet anymore. But
No.
who
Oh
knows?
gosh, this next guy, I think we all will agree on not coming back. Kyle Allen. Big no.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna shock you. I'm gonna say yes.
Really?
Here's why. He's good friends with Josh Allen.
And
If Josh Allen gets hurt, who the fuck you bringing a quarterback that's going to save the season?
you know who I
I
think
don't
they're
know.
gonna.
I mean, fuck, like 8 quarterbacks who were backups this year.
You know who I think they're gonna
Played
end up
better
doing?
than
What they're gonna be
Kyle
doing? They're gonna sign Mitch Trubisky again. I think that's
Maybe.
what they'll.
Yeah.
I think I could
I mean,
totally see that happening.
Yeah.
Listen, backup quarterback when you're on these teams is either you do what the Bengals do, and when you realize you got a quarterback who might not be able to last a full
They need some
season,
Jake Browning.
you go get yourself a backup quarterback. Like the Chiefs got a dude who can just be a coach to Pat Mahomes, and the Bills got a guy who's there to be Josh's friend or laugh at practice.
I'll go
Like,
over 2 more names. The rest I think are not relevant enough to even talk about. This is
we did talk about Kyle
that is
Allen.
true, but he is a backup quarterback. I think that's somewhat important.
Backup quarterback on the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, but if we're gonna
Well, I mean, to be
bind
fair,
and Josh
this is
out
the
for a
Buffalo
game,
Bills.
we need a guy that can step up and at least hold us down for a game. This guy's an exclusive rights free agent, so he's likely going to be tendered and brought back. Tight end Quentin Morris. Do you guys want him back?
I love some action,
No.
so yes, absolutely.
No, Mike.
Fucking.
No.
You want to explain further?
I just, I mean, unless he's literally going to be so dirt cheap that, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and like get any sort of money whatsoever, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a blocking tight end that makes a play once every 8 games is just not that relevant.
I think you could certainly do. You can't really do much better than him as your third tight end. And I think in today's age where there's a lot of 12 personnel and multiple tight ends on the field, it's good depth. And he's an
Yeah, but he
exclusive
can't
rights
run
free
the
agent.
route.
He's
I mean,
also
listen,
he is.
what-
You don't need him to do that.
What are we
That's
doing
not
here?
what you're. That's not what you're
What are we doing here?
making your third
Quentin
tight end.
Morris.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
gonna be in there to do dirty work. He's not.
Third tight end.
Yeah,
He's
you got
gonna
Trey
he's gonna
McKitty.
sign.
Trey McKitty.
Fucking
Yeah.
dude, he's gonna sign for $80,000 on a 2-year contract.
Quinn
What
Morris
are we
is
doing right now?
6'2", like 210. Trey McKitty 6'4", 246. Former 3rd-round pick.
That doesn't.
Yeah, one of them made the roster, one of them didn't.
Size is misleading for
So-
me. Like, yeah, he can be a nice red zone piece, but Quentin Morris already is fine in the red zone as your third tight
Here's
end.
the thing, red zone piece. What the fuck are we discussing right now?
Third
We
tight
have
end.
Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid.
We
What are
might
we
have
talking
Dawson
about
Knox.
right now?
We
We
might
might.
have Dawson Knox.
I think
Okay,
it's a
we have
whole
Dalton
different
Kincaid
conversation.
and Josh Allen. What are we talking
If
about
Dawson
here?
is gone, I think it's a whole different conversation. But let's just pretend
Listen,
he's coming back.
Listen, yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't
it's
mind
Quentin Morris,
your third
man.
tight end.
Yeah, I guess I really don't care either way. I just
Yeah.
You
Alright.
like
Last guy, Cam Lewis. He is an unrestricted free agent.
I would try to keep him.
I would honestly think this would be more of a debate if we're talking about a guy who made a lot of money, like Tim Settle or Tyler Makovich. Yeah, that guy. Or Puna Ford. Like Cam Lewis is not going to cost you all that much money. Like when we're talking about dollar bin players, Cam Lewis is a guy you pick up at Dollar Tree.
The depth piece.
I think he's good though, like for the depth. Like he can play safety,
yeah,
he can play
like,
nickel.
Yeah,
Position versatility matters.
Listen, Dollar Tree's got some pretty good stuff, man. Like
And then
you can get some good stuff at Dollar General.
I guess we can talk about
Like
a couple
Cam
guys
Lewis.
more.
Can
Settle.
I just make a point? Because I'm looking at
go ahead.
Google right now.
Yeah.
If he ever listens to this show, I'm sorry. But Tyler Matakevich is the weirdest looking human being I've ever seen.
Oh no!
Like,
Oh yeah.
how does he have blonde hair and the reddest beard?
Hey,
What
I have
the fuck?
brown
it's
hair and a
crazy.
red beard, man. Don't be disrespecting this red
It's
beard,
not even on
man.
the same level as you.
I'm gonna
You can't
come
compare
over
yourself
and
to
yank
Tyler
that
Matakevich.
ponytail out of your damn
No,
head.
this is crazy.
If you
No, I thought he had like reddish blonde hair. Like I thought it was like a
if
light
you were to
red.
ask me
I
what
didn't
a
think it was
farmer
blonde.
from like South Carolina were to look
It's
like,
Tyler
he
Matakevich.
is who you would think of.
From South
Oh,
Carolina.
God.
I just picked a random state in the South.
Oh my god!
Alright.
You don't look like
We gotta get back
This-
on
Yep.
topic.
All right.
Tim Settle.
Wait, actually, no. Hang on. It's like let's go
geez.
back to this guy. This is a guy we actually should. I'm going to hold a debate here because I've already stated what I think.
I don't want to
to
have a debate about a 31-year-old linebacker who ran a 4.8 40-yard dash who looks like a lumberjack. We're not doing this right now.
Mike, stay or go.
You want
Mike,
I don't.
Tyler.
See ya. Goodbye.
Tyler,
If I ever see him on the football field ever again, I don't know. You don't. If you need Tyler Matakevich, that is a problem.
we signed AJ Klein over this dude, so
Yes.
that's
That tells you
about where
But
we're
I
at.
mean, your other option
Ben.
was the other guy bagging groceries at Wegmans, so you had no choice.
I mean, AJ Klein was one step away from bagging
Jesus.
groceries at Piggly Wiggly, man. So, Ben, stay or go, Tyler,
I couldn't care any less, Trent. I wouldn't be moved if he stayed. Would moved if he were to go. His impact on the team is so minimal, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't move me at all if he stayed or not.
You're correct here. All right, who do you got next on your list, Ben?
Two more guys. Puna Ford.
I would love for him to stay.
Really?
But I don't think he will.
He's a good depth guy. I just don't think they.
He's a guy that I don't think they played. I think he's better than what he showed.
He's the kind of guy you sign if Jordan Phillips is not on your team anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, when he did play, he seemed pretty good.
I thought
it just
he
ended
had
up
some
being
nice
odd man
reps.
out.
He had some flashes.
Yeah.
I think
I
someone
think he
did a
just ended up
film
being the
segment on
kind
him.
of odd man out.
He's got some nice juice to him for a big guy. He can do some stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if he's
Ben, you
back.
might know something about this. Is there
What's
a
up?
possibility Deontay Hardy is a cap casualty?
Yes. I mentioned.
I
I
would
forgot to mention this.
be.
Yeah, he actually saves us. I think roughly $4 million if we cut
Yeah,
him.
he's got to go because they just don't
Yeah,
use him.
They're not. I don't see he's a world where he stays. If it saves him $4
I
million,
think
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir took his job.
I don't think he ever had a job.
I think he's always just been
I think they signed him to be the kind of like the slot
They
guy,
signed him to
and he
be
just
They signed him to be the backup slot guy, wide receiver for Isaiah McKenzie. That's what they signed him to be, and he just
and
never
then
really.
they just didn't do
He
that.
didn't really do much for them. I think
No.
they were in the middle of an OC change. He never really got the trust of either coordinator to play enough. So
15 catches,
to me, they're
150
not gonna.
yards.
To me, they're not gonna really do anything with him.
Yeah.
If Rover gets him, he's a nice little gadget player, and I don't really see him as much more. He's got some speed, got some juice to him, but other than the
He'll be
return
great
game
for
and
Immaculate Grid in 3 years.
oh yeah, big time,
Yeah.
immaculate, great guy. But
One
last
more
guy,
guy, Sam Martin. See you later.
You don't want Sam Martin back?
Ooh.
I don't think he's
No.
a free agent.
Ooh.
Sam
he's
Martin is so he has the weakest leg I've ever seen.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, pal!
A literal
How quickly
wet noodle. All right.
How quickly we
Sorry,
forget
we're off
about
topic.
Matt Hawk.
Oh
I'm
gosh,
We're getting
I was
angry over
really,
Quentin
really
Morris and
worried
Sam
that
Martin.
Matt Hawk was going to punt for us in
Me
that
too.
last game.
Me too. Yep.
To be fair, based off what we saw, it probably wouldn't
So
have been
I'm
worse.
gonna do this real quick.
Punted the ball
I'm
far
gonna
down
Maybe
the-
Bass makes that final field goal.
So I'm
Matt
gonna-
Hawk is holding.
I'm gonna throw a grenade and run away real quick.
Uh-oh.
Matt Ariza.
I wish.
No,
I wish.
actually, no.
I literally
wouldn't-
wish.
If you
He
think
beat the case.
You know,
he did,
I wouldn't be shocked because the Bills have mentioned they've kind of kept their eye on the thumb on the situation. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a camp tryout.
I
Fuck
wouldn't
the
be shocked.
tryout. The dude can punt the ball 80
No,
yards.
he's a weapon. He's actually
Yes.
like a full.
He would probably be the best punter in football.
Yeah.
And he beat the case.
Mhm.
Sam Martin looks like he should be selling real estate, and he kicks the ball the exact same way. He's innocent. Bring him back.
Yeah.
Punters are supposed to look like real estate agents. What's a punter supposed to look like?
Matt
Alright.
Ariza,
Mike,
an
what-
absolute demon. All right.
I think that pretty much covers it for today or tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, we had fun.
It was a good episode. I think we covered a lot. We'll be back on for next week. Next week we're going to talk a lot more about free agents that aren't on the team, targets that we like, guys like that. So if you guys want to tune in for that, we'll be throwing some names out there that could potentially be some nice fits with the Bills. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode. You guys have any other comments?
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
I'm surprised we got this angry over Quentin Morris, to be honest with you. Love you some action, baby.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Mac.
All right.